Almost half a year ago, I wasn't in my hometown. I was away from family, I was away from friends, I was away from my girlfriend. I felt isolated. The number one solution to me being alone during that time was joining a community. The community that I joined was an in person community, it was a mixed martial arts gym, and I met some beautiful people there and had a great time. There were other things that I was interested in life too that I really wanted to have a community of like minded peers to discuss these matters with and to evolve alongside with. And at the time, and still to some extent, those were tools for bettering your life. The umbrella term you can use is self improvement, let's say. So I tried to build an online community regarding those tools in question. And in so doing, I've committed to so many mistakes, so many failures have happened on this journey, on this road to try and build a community. And it's by no means where I want it to be at present. But regardless, I've made a lot of mistakes trying to build this community, and I will continue to make lots of mistakes building this community. But what I can do is share these mistakes with aspiring community builders, such that if you so happen to want to build a community, if that's something that you're interested in, maybe you want to fast track your progress, learn some failures from someone else who's trying to do it as well. This is what this video is all about. So the first mistake that I made in this journey was not respecting the community building process. I wasn't respecting the creative process of developing a project. And that takes time, that takes energy, that requires your resources. And here I was excited, anxious, really wanting to get that ball rolling. Because of that, I wasn't sitting down and doing my due diligence and really trying to figure out who this community was for. I had vague ideas, but it was a bit of everything. And if it's a bit of everything, then it's nothing, then it's too vague. Then you leave it up to your audience, to your members to determine what that is. And that's too confusing. There's too much friction with that. It has to be very clear what it is that your members are going to be doing. Their identity as a member, their membership identity has to be clear, because if there's too much friction, they're just not going to do anything because they just don't know what to do, because you haven't told them as the community builder, as the community leader, what it is that they're supposed to be doing as a member. And that's not something that I determined. That's not something that I sat down for like 1 hour to brainstorm, to figure out with specificity and simplicity what that could be, as not to confuse future members. Another mistake that I made was my content strategy. You have an ideal member that it is that you want in your community. And this ideal member that you have, they have interests. They watch, they consume certain forms of media. And that's important for you to understand, because those specific forms of media are going to be the traffic that funnels your ideal member to your community. I wasn't producing the right content for my ideal members. You have to determine who you want in your community with specificity. You have to determine what the goal, what the main mission of your community is with specificity, so that those members know what it is that they're doing in there, so that it becomes a frictionless experience for them. So they're not sat there trying to figure out what it is, and that's a little bit too much brain power, so they just say, you know what, this is not my problem to solve, because it isn't. In all due respect, it isn't. As a community builder, as a community leader, that's for you to figure out. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I made, was not sitting down, not being patient in trying to figure that out for the community that I was trying to build, and that I'm still trying to build. Because of that, I wasn't creating the right content for that community, because I hadn't determined with specificity and simplicity who it was that I was creating for. I didn't know what to create for them. I had composed these really good essays regarding how to develop habits, all backed by neuroscientific data as well. These long form written pieces of content that I don't think, in retrospect, the people that I had attracted were interested in. I built this community on a Discord server, and Discord is a platform that was built for gamer types. Right, so the people that I had attracted were predominantly gamers, and that's not the crowd that I intended on attracting. It's not to say that you can't have a Discord server that doesn't have gamers, but you have to understand that Discord was made for gamers by gamers. And one of its byproducts, one of its positive consequences, is that you don't necessarily have to be a gamer to use it. But that's what its initial purpose was, and that's who the majority of Discord users use Discord for. And I know this to be the case because as the admin of my community, I could see next to all the names of my members that when they're active, they're playing video games. And when I was trying to build this, I knew in the back of my head that I wasn't trying to attract gamers. This Discord server wasn't about gaming. It was about discussing self-improvement tools. It was about discussions and conversations and seeing each other as members evolve over time. And that's, of course, members can play video games. That's their prerogative. That's their imperative. That has nothing to do with me. But those weren't the kinds of people that I wanted to attract. I wanted to attract people who were like-minded peers. I'm not much of a gamer myself. I've dabbled in games. I think they're awesome. I think they're enjoyable, but that's just not what I'm about. And so I was creating these essays, these long-form written scripts, which, by the way, these guides, which are super helpful. And if you want to join the server, by all means, read them. They're super helpful. But that just wasn't the correct media for the crowd that I had attracted. And of course, this wasn't the crowd that I necessarily intended on serving, but it's something to consider. You attract about 40 people into a place, but then you're not feeding them the content that is ideal for them. If you're building a community, you best be the most active one in it. You have to lead by example. You have to show members, you have to show your ideal members how it is that they're supposed to act, and how you convey that to them is through action. You have to be active. If you're not active, don't expect an active community. If you're the main guy there, if you're the leader, if you're the community builder in question, if this is your server and you're not active in it, you're not as active as you could be in it, it doesn't look like you're trying. Yeah, you may be doing a bunch of things behind the scenes, filming videos, filming big videos, composing these huge written guides. They don't see any of that. So you have to be active. You have to put yourself in there. If you're creating a community is dynamic, a community is social, even if it's online. It demands that you be active, because if you're not active, why would you expect your community to be active? And that's one of the other major mistakes that I committed to. I wasn't engaging with my community as much as I could have been, and because of that, it just became a ghost town. For all of these mistakes, it's not as active and it's not at the point where I want it to be. And that's on me as a community builder and the community leader of that particular community server. The big mistakes that I've made were, I was anxious. I really wanted to get the ball rolling with this community. And because of that, I wasn't patient, and I wasn't planning, and I wasn't determining with specificity and simplicity what the goal and mission of this community was. And because of that, I'd attracted the wrong kinds of members, and that's not on them, that's on me as a community builder, as the community leader of that particular community. That's on me for not doing my due diligence, for not being patient, for not being measured, for not planning. Then on top of that, not creating the right forms of content, not delivering the proper media. If community building, if self-improvement tools and having discussions and meeting like-minded peers is something that interests you, then by all means join it. Otherwise, if you want to fast track your community building progress, I'm trying to build a community building mastermind for aspiring community builders such as myself. And if you're trying to build one, if you're struggling to build one just like I am, if you've made tons of mistakes just like I did, then by all means fill out the form in the link below in the description. It's a Linktree link, so it'll take you to 3 links, and the form is under Community Club.